This is a video of a canal boat trip we did in May 2022 along the Canal du Rhone at Sète, across the Etang du Thau, and along the Canal du Midi from Lattes to Bram in the south of France. We have done many of these trips in various parts of France, and so in addition to looking at the interesting places on shore, we have added some tips for making your own experience more enjoyable. The boat we chose to hire from Locoboat was a Flying Bridge 1020, perfect for 4 people or just the 2 of us. This unique motorized swing bridge connects Villeneuve-et-Mangelon to the Romanesque 11th century cathedral. The huge building and its environs are well worth exploring. From there, along the Canal du Rhone at Sète, we had to stop in Frontignan to wait for the lift bridge.
That's us waiting for the bridge to open at 4 o'clock. And there are the people that are waiting to go towards Lattes.
This is the Canal du Rhone at Sète. Oysters are bred in the brackish water of the Etang du Thau. The seeds are glued to the vertical ropes and suspended. They are harvested by lifting the ropes to the surface and removing the larger ones. Yummy! The Agde lighthouse marks the start of the Canal du Midi. This is the official start of the Canal du Midi.
This lock has a boat coming out of it towards us. The traffic light at the lock is green, which means that we can enter it after the boat ahead of us, which is going our way. There is room for at least 2 boats at a time.
The 17th of May was a blood moon, when the moon passed through the Earth's shadow.
Well, here we are at the round lock at Agde, and we're waiting for the gates to open for us. And the Ecclusier knows that we're there. So we're just waiting. It's a lovely day and a lovely spot actually to relax. Here we are in the round lock. There's the Ecclusier over there in blue. Yes, we're going down slightly. There's the entrance, which makes this the round lock. That's the entrance from the Med. And then back behind us is the gate that we just came through. And then they modified this lock sometime in the past with this big extension so that a bigger boat could turn from the canal onto the river that goes to the sea from here in Agde. Very interesting.
The Libron Works is a structure like no other on the Canal du Midi. It allows the Libron River to traverse the canal.
We are seeing here some of the thousands of plane trees suffering from an incurable deadly fungus which requires them to be cut down and burned. The canal, once shady when we first did this trip in 2010, has changed and the new plantings will take decades to replace them. if you're going to spend a night with electricity and water, this looks like a lovely spot. This is Beziers again.
Just after the port is the Beziers Canal Bridge over the River Orbe, where passage is one way at a time. We have now arrived at the Fonserannes staircase of 7 locks in a row, also one way at a time, and at this time of the year there are only certain hours going upstream.
We're halfway up the 7 locks, and it's been hard work so far. We're a little tired already and we're not at the top yet, but anyway. This is the top of the lock, it's just opening. And we are now going to look down the staircase that we just came up. You can see it. Just over the berm here, at the side of the canal, is what was the Etang du Thau. In the 13th century, the pond or lake was drained by a radial set of ditches and water flowed to the central point to a set of tunnels. From the air, you can see the 3-kilometer circle.
I'm not sure on this canal whether there's a right of way or not. There's no green, red light, except maybe way down there at the far end. There's not many people around today, so we can just go down through. This is the Malpass Tunnel, 165 meters. Not sure how to navigate this when there's multiple boats, but looks like we're okay today, except for a few birds that live in here.
I'm so reminded of Cézanne in this neck of the woods. Doesn't that look like me?
Quiet town of Puella is our overnight berth. Capstang has all the facilities for recreational boaters and provides long-term berths as well. We're just past Capstang, and looks like they're trying to rebuild the bank here. And they put the top of this mini weir really, really close to the water. So, not sure the logic behind that. This is the work crew trying not to fall in.
Trees are not plain trees, so that's why they haven't been chopped down. These are some other kind that seem to have kept their shape and they're not dead. And this whole stretch here, just before Argens-Minervois, is quite beautiful and shaped. Here we are at the aqueduct right there. And we are going to go past it just now.
This is the Pont de la Sète, an aqueduct or water bridge. The river Sète passes below.
Well, you can't see the bottom. Oh, there it is.
Buying wine at the Château de Minervois.
We have a little package of stuff that we always have to have up here when we're driving. My phone and Dawn's work gloves, our walkie-talkies so that we can communicate with each other when one of us goes up to the lock. That's a little bit of a luxury. And beak to keep the sun off. Let's see, what else do I have? Sunglasses and stuff for the lips.
Okay.
Binoculars for looking to see if the lock is actually open or not. Guidebook and a couple of things to hold down the bimini, but we'll come on to that later. So that's what we have in the little package. Then we have a pillow and a bungee cord here to make driving a little more comfortable. Okay, then we turn the engine on. It's going to make a noise.
We're one day out from Argens-Minervois. After staying overnight, we have about a couple hours cruise until we get to the port. And we'll just top up with water and some fuel and check a few things, and then continue on today and stop somewhere else. Not sure where.
So there's somebody coming along behind us, and we will have to keep an eye on them to see whether they want to go by us.
This is a local boat, Argens-Minervois, the local boat port. It was very tricky to back into because of the very high winds, but this is what the water electrical hookup looks like.
Here we are not far from Argens-Minervois. Nice queue today because it's a Friday and all the local boats are returning to port. So it's very busy. And also in the lock is the Roi Soleil, huge tourist boat, and this is a double lock. So let's go see what.
Here we are at a nice quiet little spot. Birds are singing. And as we look back behind us, we see a queue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boats waiting for the lock. And we're first in line. Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock now. We're just past Homs, and the wind has died, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful evening, nice sunset, and our berth is very, very quiet.
Trying to go down the canal straight requires the wheel to turn quite often. So a lot of times you're zigzagging back and forth.
And that can't be prevented, can it?
That's just a normal part of it.
And there's a lag between when you turn the wheel and when the boat moves.
Yes, so the minute it starts to answer, you have to turn back,
Yeah.
even before you're finished going the one way.
Yeah.
Okay, luckily there's no wind this morning, so normally though we have a tailwind, and that means that we tie the stern up first and then go and do the bow next. But as you can see, the lock is not emptying yet, and so we wait. And it's not 9 o'clock yet either, so we're good. So you can see the water coming into the lock, and once we get up to the line that you can see, then the gates will open.
This magnificent stone spillway, built in 1694, called Aqueduct d'Argent Double, allows canal floodwater to escape.
We just about lost the bimini this morning. We went in under a bridge and just about forgot to take it down. But Just in time. I'm going to have to scrunch down here now. So we're just coming up a double lock here in Beziers, and every écluse used to be run by the éclusier, the lockkeeper who lived in the house right beside the canal here. But most of them have been sold off now to private people, and normally the éclusier comes in his van in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then goes home at night to somewhere else. So this is almost 1 o'clock. We're expecting the lock gates, which are closed at the moment, to be opened in the next few minutes. So the procedure that we use is one of us goes up. This is a triple set of locks, so it's triple important to understand what they look like. So Don's gone up to have a look, and he's got his walkie-talkie with him, and I've got the other one so that we can communicate with each other without having to yell across half a mile. So he's just out of sight, and you'll see him crossing over probably the bridge in a minute, and he'll let me know what is happening up there. Okay, give me a running commentary, over.
Okay, the top lock is full and there are 3 boats waiting. Over.
So it looks like he's going to bring them down before we go up. Over.
The éclusier just came out.
Wow, 1 o'clock. Good. Okay, so we'll just wait and see how they come down. Over.
Exact. Think I can throw the rope to the top bollard because it's not that deep.
So you don't need to be on land, you can be on board.
Correct.
Okay. So this has all of the accoutrements of being the perfect spot to stay either overnight or for lunch. It's got, as you can see, a place to tie up front and back. It's got some shade. It's got a lovely little curve in the canal, and birds are singing. And as I showed you a minute ago, in the forward, there's only a tiny road and no noise. So this is a definition of one of our perfect spots. Other people, of course, may want to be in town where there's a bit more excitement, but for the two of us, we enjoy this better. When this lock becomes full, up to the water line, you can see, and the gates open, then it takes me both hands to move the boat into the next lock. This is a set of 3. So I can't do a video at the same time. Bye. So we've had a bit of excitement this afternoon. Just exiting the last 2 locks, we've had a loud buzzer go off. The engine, something's happened, and we've phoned the local boat people and described to them who we are, where we are, what the problem is, and they will be sending somebody to us. So luckily we knew, according to our spreadsheet, which some of you may already be familiar with, we have phoned them, and they're going to come and help us and see what the problem is.
Guillaume from Local Boat arrived about a half hour later and quickly found the problem. The engine water coolant had overheated. We had just passed a triple lock with lots of waiting, and he said that there was so much air in the water in the locks that the engine couldn't cool fast enough. This only happened once in the whole trip, so no problem, but we did watch the temperatures very closely from then on.
We've just been to the grocery store on our bikes, and we're riding back now to the boat. balancing the groceries. Here we are in the Carcassonne, that the capitainerie takes your money for a berth like this. In 2022, today is 20 euros for overnight. That includes power and water. And there's a shower unit and even a laundry unit over there on the other side, which could be very handy after a week and a half or 2 weeks. Not a very hot day, and a bit windy, which is why we didn't take a photograph of us tying in, because I was too busy trying to keep from hitting the next boat. Other than that, everything's good.
The chateau at Carcassonne is fascinating and the city is well worth a visit.
So this is what we're sometimes faced with, is a lock at the very end of where you can see there. Now we're trying to decide whether the boats are coming down or going up, and how long we might wait, and whether the gates at the bottom are open or closed. So we have the binoculars.
So that from the map we can tell that the next lock is 3.9 meters. And I can't throw the rope up 3.9 meters. About 3.4 is about all I can do. So we've got to figure out how I'm going to get off the boat and go up into the lock before Pat enters the lock.
And we managed it.
So this is the last block of the trip. This is the last block before we get to the port of Bram and the end of our 2-week trip. It's kind of a sad occasion.